Hey guys, this is Charlotte, and you're watching Going In Raw.
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steven Larson, available wherever podcasts can be found. And of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. We are pretty much required to review Raw from last night on this episode, and we're going to do that. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about some news in the world of wrestling. But first, I want to give a quick shout out to two patrons over at patreon.com/Steven Larson, Nathan Sheets, A Bit Rusty, Zach DeHack, Amoeba in a 3-piece suit, Moral, Matthew Lloyd, Evie Stark, and Ben Gibson. Also, Freddie and Ian B. Thank you very much for your support. And all those friendos right there get to check out Going In Raw's bonus content, Friendo Club TV. This week on Thursday, on The Numbers Don't Lie, we're going to be applying the Going In Raw math formula to Sting. That's right. A man called Sting is going to be going through the Going In Raw math formula process.
He's getting a 10 for presentation based on his theme song alone.
Oh, dude, yeah, he's gonna get some high numbers. So that's pretty cool. And then today on Tuesday, we're gonna be doing a bonus episode where we're gonna be rebooking the King of this year's King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring. We're gonna talk about ways to improve it, how we would go about doing it. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So you can get that also at that $5 tier on the Patreon. You can get Going In Raw audio ad-free, plus the bonus content ad-free in the audio realm, so you can import your RSS feed into your favorite podcast app. I don't think Spotify has that ability quite yet, but other podcast app, you can import that RSS feed, get all the shows ad-free. None of the advertisements that run here on the show on the normal feed would be present. So there's that. Let's see here. Also, it's been confirmed. It is set in stone unless something dramatic happens. October 23rd.
I'm already starting to feel a little under the weather, Steve. I don't think I can make it.
Is your chest a little heavy, a little closing in on you? October 23rd is when we begin this year's 24-hour stream. We hit our 1,500 sub goal on Twitch at All Out. We're climbing our way back up there, but the goal was reached. The achievement was unlocked. Therefore, the 24-hour stream, and there's a little piece of zombie artwork that I put up as a 24x36 poster, which I've already ordered for myself, of you and me, and then me wearing the Enforcer shirt where he's also a zombie. Really fun little piece of artwork. I'm pretty happy with it. And you can get that now at friendomerch.com. If you followed us on Twitter, you've maybe seen it already, or on the Instagram, you may be seen it already. But yeah, you can get that on a shirt or in poster form, and it's to celebrate 24 hours we're going to be spending on these computers, doing things, watching wrestling, playing some video games, doing some movie watch-alongs, special guests involved. Should be good stuff. Ricky Scurvy, the PS floor is officially at the post office. It's out. It's coming to you. So by the 24-hour stream, you'll get to play some GTA with us too.
Yeah, we'll see how all that goes. It's gonna be a busy weekend because we got Crown Royal on that Thursday. Of course, Friday is SmackDown Rampage. Saturday, not only are we doing the 24-hour stream, there's also Impact's Bound for Glory. There's a Dynamite on that day. There's a lot going on that weekend.
Oh, there's a Dynamite that day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, isn't it like at the same time as like Bound for Glory or something like that? Maybe we could watch like the West Coast feed. Okay. How will that shake out? Bound for Glory is like probably 3 hours.
Yeah.
Does it start? What time does that start?
5.
5 to 8.
Yeah.
Dynamite starts at 8. We can go right into Dynamite on the West Coast.
Sure.
Okay.
That's 5 hours we're filling right there.
Boom, right there. 19 left. 8 of those. Let's see here. 19, 8. That leaves 8 of those GTA. 11 left. A 2-hour movie. Boom, down to 9. 1 hour of or 2 hours of 3 hours of Smash Zone. Boom, down to 6.
Oh, Orly says Bound for Glory starts at 10 p.m. Eastern. Really? That'd be 7 Pacific. That's really late.
Is that true? That's not true.
That's really late.
Can somebody, Hilton, can you double check that for us? Hilton's on it. Anyways, we're going to talk about last night's Monday Night Raw and everything
do we
was
have
wrong
to?
with it. Well, yeah. If for no other reason to vent. Because we had a couple good weeks. We did. We had a couple good weeks of Raw.
Yeah.
I'll say it. Thought it was
They're
decent.
all right.
For a
Yeah,
couple
they're all
weeks.
right. They're all right. Yeah.
This week,
I'm looking at Impact's press release.
Really?
Yeah. Saturday,
Because they
October
don't want to
23rd,
compete with Dynamite. They're so smart. They're always evading.
10 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so we can watch Dynamite East Coast feed and then Bound for
Yeah.
Glory afterwards. That
There
works
was like,
out.
whoa.
Anyways, yes, we will talk about Raw eventually, but we got some news items that we'll talk about first, and then we'll get to tearing apart Raw. First, news item. So WWE, they kind of threw the gauntlet when they announced that this Friday's SmackDown of Fox Sports 1 is going to be a Super SmackDown with 30-minute overrun.
SmackDown.
Meaning it's going to go head-to-head with the first half of AEW Rampage. Now, after tweeting that he couldn't, quote, wait to finally beat your main show head-to-head, Tony Khan announced on WFAN that AEW will do an hour-long buy-in before Rampage on YouTube. Daniel Bryanson will be in action. Bobby Fish versus Lee Moriarty.
Oh, I love that.
Will
You just
also
called
be
him Daniel Bryanson.
Wow. Daniel Bryanson. Bryan
Dude, no,
Danielson.
I'm not talking shit. It's just funny because I think I've thought the same thing before. I'm like, yeah, Daniel Bryanson. Bryan Danielson.
So that means we're going to get WWE main roster, SmackDown, AEW going head-to-head, direct competition, kind of, for 90 minutes.
Jeez.
This Friday, the Friday Night Wars have begun, yes or no?
Well, yeah. I mean, this week, anyways. Who comes out on top? Okay, so for context, last year in December, SmackDown on FS1 broke 1 million.
All right.
Which obviously was a drastic go down from what they usually do.
2 million, yeah.
But that's double drastic go up from this past week's episode of Rampage, which granted was against some MLB.
Yeah.
It was taped. Not a lot going on. So I don't know what to make of this. I kind of feel like SmackDown's going to do better than it did last year. So it'll probably, and plus with the added hype and publicity, I still feel like SmackDown might get 1.2, 1.3,
now,
which is more than Rampage, I think, has ever done. I forget what the Phil episode
If the first hour of Rampage was going to be on, not YouTube, be on TNT in prime time, that would give Rampage a better chance to chip away a bit at SmackDown. I don't think there's any chance Rampage has of actually besting SmackDown the ratings. I just don't think it's possible, given the trajectory that we've seen from Rampage late. Hopefully we'll see a rebound just to make it competitive and make it something interesting and worth talking about down the line. But I think Rampage is a massive underdog here. I got a lot of confidence points on SmackDown coming out ahead in the viewership numbers. Yes, Steve.
Do you mind if I talk to Tony Khan straight to the camera?
How about it?
I'm going to give him a little piece of advice.
Sure, go ahead.
Tony.
Sure.
Steve from Going on Raw, I know you know the show, right? Long time ago, probably before he was born, a guy named Eric Bischoff came to the ring on a motorcycle and got in the middle of the ring on this motorcycle and challenged Vince McMahon. You should do that on Rampage. It went over terribly well. Everybody loved it. And if I'm not mistaken, after that, WCW's ratings skyrocketed.
Drastic went up.
And they defeated WWE in the ratings war and eventually bought the WWE. So if he does the same thing this week, I don't really think that's what happened in history.
No, I don't think
that
so
was.
at all.
It was like a couple weeks after WCW started losing to WWF, and then he did that to like congratulate himself. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't very
It was
good.
awful.
It wasn't
Don't
very
do
good.
that, Tony.
Don't
That'd
do
be
that. Do
terrible.
the
No,
opposite.
I think this is great though. This is great. This is great promoting. You know, it's like using anything he can to motivate people to check out the product.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. And I think that he's going to continue along his course. I am still convinced that he has some sort of massive spreadsheet
Oh, absolutely.
of all this stuff because that's the world he comes from. And I think that's why you get such a great balance of using the older guys, the younger guys, all these interweaving stories. You know, it ain't perfect, but I think that they do a pretty damn good job of booking their product over there. and yeah, he'll take any opportunity to promote his show in a way that I think is healthy for the industry. And of course, there's always going to be an element of toxicity in any fandom that takes it and runs with it in a negative direction. But I think this is great. This is awesome.
Yeah. Some healthy competition is good for everybody in the industry. I have no problem with this. None whatsoever.
Yeah, quote the Raven. Yeah, WCW totally. They were already losing.
Yeah.
And then he did that, and they lost even. It started getting worse for them.
It got worse.
Yeah.
Drastic go down. During Tony Khan's appearance on WFAN, he also was asked about Wyndham Rotunda, of course, formerly known as Bray Wyatt, potentially joining AEW. This is what Tony Khan had to say. These transcripts are from Fightful. Quote, certainly that name would never be used. He's a great wrestler, and I have to be honest. We haven't really talked at all. I've known him in personal life and have gotten to spend a little bit of time with him, but as far as that, we haven't talked. I saw lots of rumors, but that isn't something anyone has really talked about, but you never know. Even if he did have extensive contract talks with Bray Wyatt, he ain't going to say anything about it.
No, he wouldn't. He would not. He might be a little bit more coy than he is here, though. So I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he's just, there's nothing to be gleaned here, but he's talking about him, so it's news, because I think everybody wants to see Wyndham on their screens in some way, shape, or form, whether it's in wrestling or if he elects to do an FX show or something. I would love for him to take over some sort of like horror anthology.
Oh,
if he wanted to. I don't know. The guy, he's like a 8th generation wrestler or some shit. Probably 3rd anyways. So yeah, man. I'd love to see that. I think it'd be great in AEW. Wouldn't mind seeing him Impact either. Whatever promotion wants to use him. Could you imagine Bray in New Japan?
Can you imagine Bray Wyatt?
Some of the stuff we could do over there. Oh man, don't even get me started. That'd be terrific. Bardal.
That's what I want to see.
Wyndham Rotunda.
That's what I want to see. Let's take a quick break here to get a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Several years ago, while dealing with severe anxiety, I learned the importance of talking to a therapist, but I also learned that it can be really difficult to find the right person to talk to. Today, BetterHelp is providing a safe and private online environment where your needs will be assessed and you'll be matched with your own licensed personal therapist.
BetterHelp isn't a crisis line, nor is it self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online, all without having to ever sit in another uncomfortable waiting room.
BetterHelp is dedicated to facilitating great therapeutic matches. Send your counselor messages at any time or schedule regular phone or video sessions. And they made it free and easy to change therapists if needed.
And you don't have to limit yourself to counselors in your area. BetterHelp services are available worldwide, so you can find the expertise you need regardless of location. BetterHelp is affordable, convenient, and everything you share is confidential.
We want you to start living a happier life today. As a Going In Raw listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/raw. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health.
Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw. Before we get back to the show, let's get a word in from our sponsor, Decked. Larson, I'm sure you know a truck owner out there who has a horror story from this time of year where they left something in the back of their truck, whether it be tools, camping gear, or sports stuff, and they had it all ruined after the heavens opened up and dumped rain or snow all over their stuff, man.
Yeah, and really, what are you supposed to do in that situation? You're supposed to bring everything indoors every night or just cover it up with a tarp? Regardless what you do, it's going to be a hassle, which is why we highly recommend Decked.
Yeah, not only does Decked make organizing and accessing all that stuff you have in your truck bed easier, the Decked drawer system is weatherproof, so it protects and secures all your stuff from Mother Nature.
And each of Deck's 2 full bed-length drawers can carry up to 200 pounds of whatever you want to put in them, and the drawers roll out about waist-high, giving you easy access to your tools and gear. Plus, Decked is 100% made in the USA and backed by a lifetime no-hassle warranty and offers second-to-none customer service.
So protect your stuff with Decked. Get your Decked drawer system at decked.com/raw and get free shipping. That's decked.com/raw for free shipping on your Decked drawer system. Decked.com/raw. Yeah, man, I don't want to see Raws like we saw the one last night. Look, I'm just going to preface it by this. For anybody out there who's like, oh, you guys are crapping on WWE again. Listen, for the last couple weeks, I've been sitting here saying, wow, Raw's been pretty good. They gave us a couple of decent episodes. I've had problems with them. It's not all great, but it's been fun stuff to watch. That's all I ask for, really. Last night, there was really nothing fun about last night beyond maybe one match, Xavier Woods versus Ricochet, because you can't put those guys in a ring together and not have a fun match.
Yeah.
But this King of the Ring, and especially, mainly, let's just focus on Queen's Crown, is an absolute tragedy. It's a tragedy, and I'm being obviously pretty, exaggerative with my language. But in terms of what it could have been versus what they're giving us, which is a grand total of 8 minutes and 15 seconds, if one of our awesome chatters is here to be believed.
4 matches, totaling a little more than 8 minutes. 4 matches.
Yeah. It's been terrible. If you don't want to do the tournament, don't do the tournament. Don't do it half-assed.
WWE creative, WWE corporate, WWE should be embarrassed by how they're handling the Queen's Crown tournament. You got all these fantastically talented women who, for years, have worked tremendously hard for this company. And then for WWE to say, oh, we're going to have this tournament, and it's going to be a deal. Because King of the Ring, through the years, at times has been a pretty major deal. You win King of the Ring, that's a good, launching pad for your career, historically speaking.
Yeah.
And then, all right, we're going to do a women's tournament this year. Whether it's stated explicitly or not, the idea is, okay, this will be a deal. This will be something important. And then it's treated like such an afterthought. And it's so insulting to the women who have worked so hard for the company through the years to be given maybe 2 minutes to have a match. Yeah. And while half of Raw is absolutely redundant with recaps and rematches and talky bits that add absolutely nothing to the stories they're trying to tell on this show. And I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, you could cut this. You could cut that. You can cut this. At the minimum, every opening round match for the King of the Ring or Queen's Crown should be 10 minutes long. That's for the opening round. Give them at least 10 minutes the opening round. Like, I can make an exception for the Shayna match because that's your story. She's just going around destroying everybody. So if you put her in a match, have her win 2 minutes because that's consistent with the story you're telling, fine. But that should not be the norm.
Yeah.
Minimum 10 minutes for opening round, 15 minutes for the second round. Finals, give them 15 to 20.
Yeah.
Make the tournament about wrestling. Yeah. Last night episode of Raw was really, I say a lot that when Raw focuses on in-ring action, it's a better show.
Yeah, sure.
If they don't get so bogged down, a bunch of talking, a bunch of recaps, you focus on the wrestling, it's generally a pretty decent show. Last night, they focused on basically everything but wrestling.
There was geez. Yeah, I'm looking at this and this rundown. If I was given this, I would. This is why wasn't this ripped up? You know what? Honestly, it felt like this is what it is. We got Crown. They don't book in advance, so we got Crown Jewel coming up. We don't have time for this. We don't have time for this because we got Crown Jewel coming up. We don't have time for it. So just do whatever. You do this Drew and Big E, can they coexist stuff. The most egregious.
Half the show was can they coexist. That was half the show.
The worst was Charlotte and Becky versus Bianca and Sasha Banks. Why would you ever put these? And I honestly thought when it's just started as a brawl and they didn't even ring the bell. And then the producers and refs come down and break up the brawl after it was a cool spot where Bianca threw Sasha into the other two. And then Pierce comes out, and I feel so bad for Pierce and Sonya because they make them act like dullards sometimes. He comes out, no, we're going to show everybody here what you can do. Then make it a fatal four-way. Why wouldn't you do that? Clearly, these people have no desire whatsoever to work with each other. Why would you put them in a tag situation? It doesn't make sense. The characters don't act like normal human beings. That's the most egregious foul that WWE commits, is when they have characters who don't act in any way, shape, or form like a reasonable, normal human being would act. Yes.
I'll bring up the Drew McIntyre Big E storyline in that regard as well, because the opening bit was all about them and it was getting a bit chippy between them, given the rivalry that's kind of brewing between them, leading to their match at Crown Royal. And there's a backstage segment after they get attacked by the Usos, where they kind of work things out. And Big E says, "Hey, we got a match against the Usos tonight. Let's let bygones be bygones. Let's get through this match, and then we'll worry about it." They do the Mega Powers handshake over it, and it's like fun, and they're laughing about it. And then during the match, Big E, who was playing Peacemaker just about an hour ago, suddenly tags himself in and says, "Well, you did it to me last week, Drew, so I'm doing this to you." It just...
Oh, it was because...
where's the internal consistency? It's like just a little bit ago, Big E was saying, "Hey, we gotta be on the same page. Let's get to this match, then we'll worry about it."
Yeah.
But I'm like, you're presenting these characters, and yes, people are complex. People can contradict themselves from time to time. I completely understand that. But if just a little bit ago you're booking Big E as Peacemaker, and then just an hour later he's like, "Yeah, no, that's not what I was going to do anyways." It just like, why should I root for a character like that?
Yeah.
In that instance, it just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
And they do that kind of stuff all the time, where from one segment to another, it seems like there's no consistency. It's all, well, what do we want to do? We want to do this. All right, does it make sense? Who cares?
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
And
really
because
frustrating.
we're so mired in this shit that when something cool does happen, because I actually thought that if we want to talk about the one decent thing about the show, I thought the Ali Mansoor stuff was pretty solid. I think that both these guys really deserve a lot of credit for, number one, I don't know exactly how the process works backstage, but they've actually turned in performances and executed the creative, and the creative behind it has been pretty solid, so that, hey, I'm actually invested in these two. I want to see them get on the same page, and it hasn't been working. They keep on losing, and we actually had the fallout from that, where there seems to be a split here between the two of them, motivating the Mansoor match for the Saudi Arabia show. We always know he has a match. You and I had originally thought maybe he would win King of the Ring. He wasn't even put in that. So now he's got a match with Ali, which he is certain to win, and we've also speculated that maybe Ali will see that win and be like, "Hey, I was wrong about you. Let's continue as a team on SmackDown." That's something I'd really like to see.
That's something I would like to see too. I'm somewhat pessimistic that's going to be the case, but hopefully, I mean, like the Mansoor Ali storyline, I have enjoyed for the most part. They did kind of cut out the whole second act, for the most part, and again, I feel like a lot of times it's a situation of me enjoying the performers and them being really good at their job, because for several weeks they were kind of doing variations of the same thing, and then this week they accelerated the storyline a ton to get to what they really wanted, which was this match at Crown Royal.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that I'm okay with that pacing, because it was, hey, let's try to get on the same page, and there's little moments where they work well together, and then it falls apart. And so I understand that with them, I actually do think that whoever or whatever the creative is behind this has been pretty solid, because I'm okay with that, because you need repetition. You need to get your reps in order to congeal as a team. And that's great. And then eventually gets to a breaking point where Ali's like, "Dude, no, this is not working, and it's your fault. I should have known you were a loser the whole time." And it explodes. And that was this week. And I'm fine with that. And this is the second act if
that's a massive if.
That match leads to more stuff, which, look, I can be optimistic about it a little bit, just given that so far everything we've seen with them has been by and large pretty good. And maybe they're on their own little creative island where they are given TV time, and they will see it through after the match coming up at Crown Jewel. And if it ends up being the end of it, then it ends up being the end of it. And yeah, it was sort of a story that just sort of stopped with a match. And, that's on me for having any optimism. But what I've seen so far, I've really enjoyed. It does feel like they have been on sort of a creative island. Even in this, it's been a small story. It hasn't been featured, but it's always there. It's something for me to appreciate. And it's just sort of buried in the rest of this nonsense that we're given this week. I mean, that dude, you talked about it earlier, where, wrestling is best when it's wrestling, and you lose the talking. Well, man, literally Riddle versus Omos was nothing but AJ talking during the match, directing Omos to do this or that. We talked about on the episode on News Beef yesterday how there was a report that Omos and AJ were supposed to be, or Wrestle Votes said Omos and AJ were supposed to be split up. And one of the bigger stars on Raw said, no, Omos isn't ready, and they listened to him. We both speculate it's Randy Orton. And this seems like it's playing out on the TV because it's AJ literally directing Omos on how to be a singles guy. And then they're mixing up with Randy Orton and stuff. So I don't know, and it's awkward storytelling. It nobody comes off like they're any sort of normal human acting in a regular situation. And on these weeks of Raw, when it's like, man, there's really nothing to appreciate save for like the one story that I like. It's just chore to sit through. And I know the ratings are going to reflect it, by the way.
Yeah.
I know the ratings are going to be in the toilet again. And it's funny, dude, we're a couple months now removed, 2-3 months now removed from fans coming back full time. And it was SummerSlam, wasn't it?
Where's the good
August.
stuff? It was July. It was mid-July where they start having fans come back.
Mid-July. Okay, yeah, Money in the Bank, yeah.
Where's all the good stuff?
Well, they start. Yeah. Like we've had some good stuff, but it's like, no. The bottom line is it doesn't matter if there's fans there or not if the creative sucks. Like those fans had to sit there in San Jose last night and they were doing their damnedest to help out. San Francisco. There was a guy with a San Jose shirt on. That's why I said that. They're sitting there doing their best. But it's like if you're just giving I feel so bad for people who are sitting there for 3 hours.
Raw's going to be here in Sacramento next week. And even if we weren't still dealing with a pandemic, I wouldn't go because Raw, watching on TV is a chore to sit through. I can only imagine, a bad episode of Raw, having to sit through that. Gosh.
Oh, it's a chore. It's an absolute chore. And you wonder why there is, I think, I heard it was on Twitter, and I don't know who it was from, but I read that it was like 3,500 last night.
Yeah, at Chase Center, which is, where the Warriors play. So it was a good-sized basketball arena.
Yeah.
And it was sparsely attended. There's just so much on Raw where it feels like nothing matters. Just doesn't matter. Yeah. Like things that should be consequential, like these tournament matches. Even they don't. I mean, Xavier Woods is trying his damnedest to make the King of the Ring tournament feel important. And yeah, you can put all the fancy graphics up there, but and just by the very nature of the Queen's Crown matches, how short they are, they just feel like an afterthought. They don't feel important. They should feel important.
I wonder if some of it might be because that they can sometimes WWE they'll throw out some turds if there's a big change on the horizon. If they're like, we'll just wait till after WrestleMania and then things will, then we'll have the sort of reset with the draft is coming up after Crown Royal. And I wonder if they're just like, we're going to wait till then, which sucks.
It does suck. It does suck.
Sometimes they do that. They have been known to sort of like, we got something big on the horizon. We can phone it in till then, and then they'll get the good stuff. It's like, we got fans coming back.
That's the thing.
We'll phone it in till they're here. And then the fans come back, and they had a couple weeks of good stuff.
But then it's back to the same old bad habits.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, hey, we'll save the good stuff for then. Well, then happens. You get a week or two of maybe something interesting, and then it's back to the same old awful creative habits.
So we can expect Crown Jewel is the 20 what now?
First,
the 20.
I believe.
Okay, it's
a week from Thursday.
So on that Friday, 22nd, SmackDown, assuming they get home, from then until like maybe the 12th of November, it'll be good. And then they'll phone it in before Survivor Series. And then they'll do Survivor Series should be good because it's gonna be Roman versus Big E. Yeah, that'll be okay. Yeah, that's what they do. They just sort of limp along until there's another thing to look forward to.
Yeah, I guess so. And then they try to dump a little creative energy into it, and then they get past that. All right, well, we'll save the good stuff for the next major show.
Yeah,
and it's just I don't know. It's a frustrating experience to have to sit through nights like last night.
Yep.
When there's ingredients there to do something good and interesting. And then,
dude.
And then it's just it's a turd. The episode was a turd.
Let's talk about this before we dive into it. before we dive into these swamps.
This might be a very breezy Raw recap.
Oh, my notes. I stopped. Yeah, but I didn't even put my notes up for people to look at because they're terrible. We were also robbed of Kofi versus Xavier Woods. What did I say? Bruce said Vince doesn't like.
I know. That's the first thing I thought.
Family members fight.
First thing I thought.
Right?
Yeah.
Same thing I thought too. Oh yeah. Well, family members shouldn't fight. People don't want to see family members fight. Family drama is like the cornerstone of like half of the Shakespearean plays.
Yep.
People love that shit, man.
I know.
And there is no faction closer than the New Day.
Yep.
And to see these two, I mean, that's a moment. You like your moments? That's a moment.
It's a massive moment. It's a massive moment. Now, with Jinder beating Kofi, I would not be surprised if he beats Xavier Woods next week. Because here's the thing. So Finn's probably coming from the SmackDown side of the bracket. Yes? Finn's the face.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Finn's the face.
Yeah.
Given now how everybody knows that Xavier Woods really wants to be King of the Ring. If you're going to have Finn win and they have him beat Xavier Woods in the final, that could be a problem unless Finn turns heel. Because Finn's going to get some amount, maybe not major, of heat for beating Xavier Woods. But if Jinder beats Xavier Woods, well, Jinder's a heel. That's the kind of heat they like.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised we see Jinder Mahal versus Finn Balor in the finals for the King of the Ring. At all. At all. At all.
Yeah. It's a possibility. Yeah, I mean, going by that way, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right. Then who wins?
Well, if it's Finn versus Jinder, I would hope Finn, but it's entirely possible Jinder wins that. Entirely possible.
It is very possible.
It seems of late they like their heel King of the Ring winners.
Jinder like needs something.
Yeah.
He's going to be the new Baron. Yeah. King Jinder. Oh my gosh. Yep. Hey, good for Jinder.
Well, yeah, good for him. Good for him.
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious.
Anyways, let's just jump into it, I guess. Show opened up with Drew McIntyre. He's talking about what getting this last shot at the WWE title means to him before he has to move to SmackDown. He's about to tell us a story. He gets interrupted by Big E. Big E says, "I get it. I understand why you want to be champ so badly. Now that I've tasted the spoils of being champ, they are sweet." Talks about the juices of being champion running down his chin, down his chest,
betwixt his nipples.
Yes, it was a pretty funny bit. He puts over Drew. He says, "But that train has left the station, and Drew, you have two options. You can either jump on board, or your big sword-wielding ass can stay in those tracks and get run over."
Smooth.
So Drew then talks about, hey, the rush of being champion, getting the thrill of being champ in front of the fans. And Drew said, "I never got that. I'm still chasing that moment. And that moment's going to come at Crown Jewel. I'm going to run through you, Big E, and there's nothing you can do about it." They get in each other's face. They start talking trash. Usos come out.
So they come out. They said, "We're here to send out some warning shots." He says, "We all know Roman's going to beat Brock at Crown Royal, but we don't know who's going to be WWE champion." He says, "Be careful, Drew. If you win and you come to SmackDown with the WWE championship, Roman might try to add that championship to his case." He says, "Big E, if you beat Drew at Crown Royal, then it's you versus Roman at Survivor Series." And then they're about to leave, and Big E's like, no. He says, "Listen, I can't speak on it. It's obvious that he's about to challenge them with Drew." He says, "I can't speak on," he says, I'm sure I can speak on behalf of Drew." And Drew says, "No, the hell you can't." It gets all awkward. and then so the Usos are like, "Okay, well, yeah, fine. You guys want to go at it with us?" Then they challenge them, and then they both accept at the same time. Neither of them like that, because Big E's like, "Oh, you can accept for me now, but I can't accept for you." So they start bickering. They both get super kicked.
Yeah.
Then we go to the New Day in advance of Woods' match against Ricochet for the King of the Ring. They're interviewed. They're just asked, what'll happen if you two have to face each other? And they just laugh because they've probably been told at that point that, this awesome, intriguing story we could have got for one match, for one moment, and then you shake hands. That's not happening.
Nope.
Why do something cool?
Yeah, why do something interesting and cool that could actually get the attention of wrestling fans on your product? Why do that? Why do that?
Yeah.
So then we get Xavier Woods versus Ricochet. Ricochet's got a bit of a promo beforehand. It's pretty much saying, if I win King of the Ring, you'll launch my career into the stratosphere. I'll show up on SmackDown. You can refer to me, or prepare to call me King Ricochet, which is what he was called like a vast majority of his indie career anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of used to calling him King Ricochet. So Xavier Woods gets the win here. It was I don't know, like 8 minutes, 10-minute match, something like that.
Yeah, it was a decent
match. Yeah,
and Ricochet did all sorts of crazy shit. It's so much fun to watch him go at it. Oh my God! Wow. What is this? White Brownie has the Raw rating in. It was less than I thought it was going to be.
1.5.
1.58 in the first hour. 1.6 in the second hour. 1.5 in the third hour.
It was a heck of a Monday Night Football game last night. That might explain why the first hour is low and it got a little bump at the second hour. The second
hour kicked off with the Omos Riddle stuff, which was terrible.
It was awful.
It was awful.
Anyway, so this match was good. Xavier Woods ends up getting the win. So Ricochet sends Woods to the floor, launches himself over the ring post to take out Woods, follows with a suicide dive, goes for another. Woods sidesteps that one and kind of pushes Ricochet through, so he lands on the floor into the barricade, puts Ricochet back in the ring, hits his top rope elbow to get the win. He advances. After that, we get Randy Orton in the locker room. Riddle walks up. He says, I got some news for you, Randy. He says, someone challenged Omos to a match last night, and he's got a sweet head of hair and loves Lunchables. And Orton's like, oh, what have you done? And Riddle says, hey, your plan last week worked out, so I'm going to follow your lead so we have a bunch of momentum heading into Crown Royal. And he asks Randy, what's the plan? How are we going to outsmart AJ and Omos? And Orton says, there's no plan. What happened last week was just a one-time deal. He tells Riddle, you shouldn't be challenging Omos. You're on your own with this one.
And then Riddle still doesn't understand that. After that, we had Hurt Business versus Ali and Mansoor. Pretty quick match here. Cedric got the pin on Ali with a Michinoku driver as Mansoor tried to break up the pin, but Shelton was there to prevent that from happening. After the match, Ali was pretty pissed off, not very happy.
No, not happy.
Then we had Shayna Baszler versus Dana Brooke. First round, Queen's Crown action. Shayna won this with a knee strike to the face. I do like the sort of the storytelling between Shayna and Dana Brooke, though. I'm sad to see them get separated.
This felt like a match that was originally given like 7 or 8 minutes, and they're like, no, you get 2 minutes, and so they had to get all their shit in. That's what it felt like.
Shayna and Dana always do what they can to sort of further along their sort of very on the down low rivalry, and I really liked it. So the great thing is, she wins with a knee strike to the face. And they cut to a replay of the knee strike to the face. And they come back, and Shayna's trying to choke out Dana Brooke. Yeah. And the ref is like, sort of, oh, get away from her.
Yeah.
And so Dana's down there on the floor. He says, uncalled for. Yeah. That's uncalled for.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
It was pretty funny. Yeah. They got about 5-6 minutes worth of story at a match that was about a third of that length. And then we got a Charlotte promo. These promos, something felt a little off about these promos. Did you get that too?
Yeah. Well, you don't get these very often. Usually if you're backstage, I mean, you get them sometimes, but this was a very deliberate. Each woman got their backstage.
And they don't usually talk to camera really anymore.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know, something about this, maybe it's just so different, something they haven't done in a while. Something about it felt off. Anyway, Charlotte.
Yeah, I think that was it. I mean, and they all, it must be a bit different than, hey, you've got an interviewer to bounce off of. Now you just have to go for 1 to 2 minutes or so, it's like promo class 101 type stuff,
yeah. So Charlotte saying, who cares about Shayna anyways? Says whatever happens to Bianca, Sasha, and Becky doesn't interest her. They can rip each other apart at Crown Royal. She only cares about herself. They're beneath her. She's royalty. She talks some trash about each one of them. And then she says, I hope Sasha walks out Crown Royal as champ so I can slap the smirk off her face and win the title from her and meld these titles together. She wants to have all the belts.
That'd be cool. After that, we had Riddle versus Omos.
This was so bad. Gosh.
This is I like all these wrestlers, but they booked this in a way that was just obnoxiously bad. Like I should not have had to have written as many notes as I did for this, but it just went on and on. So there's a bunch of jawing. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, it feels like half the time when they give AJ a mic, it's like, all right, you have 5 minutes. You got go out there and kill time. That's what it feels like. So much of Raw just feels like killing time.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we felt that Riddle versus Omos needed something more. So there's a bunch of jawing before the match. Riddle's talking about, secret code perhaps to bring Randy. He thinks that this is still some sort of Randy Orton plan that they're going here. AJ gets on the mic and says, Riddle's stalling. He gets the ref to ring the bell. Riddle immediately sort of evades a shot from Omos, goes to the outside where AJ's not paying attention, attacks him. Omos pulls him off AJ, brings him back into the ring, hits him with a choke slam. He's about to pin him, and AJ's like, no, don't do that. Remember how you were talking about how you used to be in karate? Well, back in the 7th grade, when you were as tall as a real man, he says, hit him with a roundhouse kick.
It was a pretty cool roundhouse kick.
Yeah, it was pretty rad because the dude's like huge. So Omos hits it, destroys Riddle. And then, talk about killing time. Instead of getting Omos to do another move, he says, oh, that was great. Let's replay it. Now, this has all the markings of either a rib, punishment, Vince trying to make a point to somebody as opposed to putting on the most entertaining product possible.
This was the opposite of entertainment.
And maybe I'm just reading too much. Maybe I just read too many of the dirt sheets, Larson. But doesn't this just had the feeling of we're fucking with you on live TV as opposed, which they've done before, as opposed to let's put on the most entertaining thing we can for TV, because AJ had them go to a replay of the roundhouse kick and then another slow-mo replay of the roundhouse kick.
It was awful.
And I'm like, what is the point of this? It's not, they might think, oh, it's to get heat. It's not.
No.
I just want, if this wasn't my thing, I would turn the TV off.
Yeah, this is one of those points in the show where you're like, all right, F this. I'm stepping away. Because it's bad.
It's misery.
It is misery. So anyways, AJ calls for the choke bomb. Omos hits it. He wins. AJ hits the ring. He's about to hit Riddle with the Styles Clash. Orton's music hits, but there's no Randy. So AJ sends Omos out of the ring to look for Orton. And so he's over by the announce table. We cut back in the ring, and then Orton looks like he came from roughly the same place where Omos should have been.
Yeah, there was no TV direction. I think he came from like the other
side.
Corner.
Yeah, he came from a side. Yeah, or the side, yeah.
But
the way
like, what kind of
shot was framed looked like he came into the ring right where Omos should have been and hits AJ with the RKO.
What kind of shitty writing is that? Where it's like, okay, so AJ's going to send Omos over to watch his back.
Yeah,
but he's going to be wildly non-effective at doing that. That's just bad writing. It's like, okay, well, what if he comes from the side instead? No, we're going to not show where he's coming from, but it's going to look like he came from the back, so he just phased through Omos.
Yeah.
It's just poor execution and poor writing.
Yeah.
It stems from poor writing and just it's poorly executed.
It's just laziness. It feels like laziness.
Yeah.
After that, we're backstage. Drew McIntyre walks up to Big E. He's blaming Big E for the getting super kicked by the Usos. Big E says, hey, we're going to beat the brakes off each other at Crown Royal, but if they don't work things out tonight, it's going to be a long one. So for one night only, let's let bygones be bygones, and let's just get through this match. And Drew says, yeah, you make a good point. Usos wouldn't be on Raw without Roman's permission. It must mean that Roman is scared of them facing them at Survivor Series. And he says Roman should be. He says also winning tonight would be a hell of a victory for him. Big E offers his hand, and then they do the Mega Powers handshake. And they laugh about it. Like it seems like a genuine moment between the two of them. You know?
We're good.
It seems like they're cool. They're good for the night, you know?
Yeah. After that, we had another one of those backstage promos from the participants of the tag match. Sasha Banks.
You missed Lashley's promo then.
Oh no. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I have literally one sentence written for that. So he comes out. He talks about Goldberg saying that he's going to kill him. He says this behavior isn't befitting a WWE superstar or a father.
That's a good point.
Which is totally true. He talks a bunch more, and then he says he's going to end his career. I'm sorry, but it's too long. It doesn't really do much to sell a match. I love Lashley. I think he's great. I think it's a tragedy that Goldberg's going to win this match. It really bums me out. I'll be so happy if I lose my prediction points on this match and Lashley wins, because right now it sort of depends on what's going to happen next week. But as of right now, I get the feeling that Goldberg's going to win this match. Like, it's going to be terrible.
It seems like Bill's going to win this one, yeah. Then we get Sasha Banks promo. She says ever since Charlotte's been drafted to SmackDown, her Charlotte's entitlement makes her feel like she's in charge, when in reality, woman who holds the SmackDown Championship calls the shots. Right now, the man is holding that title, but she's holding on to it for dear life. It says tonight, supposed to team with Bianca. She says Bianca needs to stand back and follow her lead. She's the boss for a reason. And tonight, after Becky and Charlotte implode, she's going to beat Charlotte. Then at Crown Royal, she'll become SmackDown Women's Champion.
After that, so I don't know if you included this in your notes, but they did a little ad integration with the Chucky series coming up, the Child's Play series.
I saw it happening while I was fast forwarding. I was like, pass.
Okay, yeah, I just literally, there's a bit here with Chucky watching WWE and he complains about commercials. I mean, no shit. After that, Austin Theory versus Jeff Hardy. You know what would have been cool? Because obviously you and I really have come to appreciate Austin Theory. Mm-hmm. I think this is a guy who probably could have used some like vignettes to build him up a bit, sort of in the style of the Mr. Perfect ones back in the day.
Yeah.
But with his own unique brand of personality that Austin Theory has.
Yeah.
I think that could have been a lot of fun, because the one thing that you definitely want to showcase with him is the personality stuff, because during his time in NXT, he really developed that.
Did.
He found his character.
He really did.
Even on social media, like I saw, he took a selfie with Big E.
Yeah.
The way he did with Jeff Hardy. And
yeah,
Big
that happened
E
on the show.
Oh, did that happen on the show?
Yeah, really briefly. Right before a commercial break, he just Big E is warming up backstage, and he comes by.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah,
holy
I totally
shit.
missed that. What?
White Brownie says Bryan Danielson versus
Whoa!
Minoru Suzuki announced for the buy-in. Holy
crap.
shit. Wow.
Damn.
Wow.
That's intense. You want to put that on Rampage?
Yeah, no.
Wow. That's great. That's really awesome.
That is cool.
So wait, was the Austin Theory Big E thing after the match between him and Jeff Hardy?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, I missed
It was
that.
shortly before the main event.
But no, I love that stuff. Give this dude some vignettes, showcase that personality. Yeah, Austin Theory versus Jeff Hardy. At one point, Theory has Jeff Hardy in like a submission hold. The 24/7 division runs through. He gets distracted by R-Truth. But that doesn't really help Jeff Hardy all that much, because Jeff Hardy hits a twist of fate, and then Austin Theory evades the swanton, rolls him up, grabs his belt and all the tights and his pants or whatever, gets a cheaty win there for Austin Theory.
Then we get a Bianca Belair promo. She says Charlotte has a different idea what it takes to be a winner from her. Bianca says that she's been fortunate to be able to win with character and heart. Charlotte thinks she has to be ruthless, which usually just means she cheats. But she says she doesn't have to cheat, and she's going to prove that when she takes back the SmackDown title on Crown Royal. She addresses Sasha, saying Sasha wants her to follow her lead, but she remembers beating Sasha main event of WrestleMania. She'll never forget what Becky did to her at SummerSlam, but it'll only take her 30 seconds to knock Becky back to being Becky no belts. And then she kind of punctuates it by saying there could be a double pin in the future of Sasha and Becky, but maybe that's for Becky and Charlotte tonight, because this is Raw and it's her show now.
Yep, she goes here now. After that, we had Jinder Mahal versus Kofi Kingston. Of course, ooh, that looks good. I want a Starbucks
Latte.
It's a latte. Could have used that on Saturday in the C block. Yeah, man. I know. I asked Lacey this morning. I was like, "Hey," or right before we went on, I was like, "Should I have my third cup?" She was like, I was like, "Oh, you're going to judge me if I have my third cup."
Yesterday, I had a second cup and it upset my tummy, so I wasn't sure about today. But I feel sluggish today. I had to watch Raw,
Yeah, man, you had to watch Raw. I actually watched. It's funny because I actually watched it live.
Yeah.
While it was on, just because I was doing work on my computer.
How do you set those commercial breaks?
Well, I was doing work.
Oh.
I was putting together the promo stuff for the 24-hour stream. So like it was better that way. And then I just like wrote a bunch of really quick notes this morning.
Raw is better when you do something else while watching it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So anyways, this is just an overbooked mess towards the end. Veer and Shanky both had a ton of shenanigans. But then even the finish, it's like, I don't know. They booked Jinder so shitty, like loser-ish lately, that the idea that Kofi just comes off the top and gets caught with a Colossus on a match that really does matter is just kind of bullshit to me. So Jinder hits that Colossus for 3, goes up to the throne, puts the crown on, the cape on, sits in it. He does look great because he's Jinder. He's awesome. Yeah. But we'll see what happens with the finals and all that. It'll be interesting he still has Veer and Shanky to pin Finn, but I just don't know if they're going to have Finn get pinned by Jinder. I don't know. Jinder.
I'll say this. If Woods beats Jinder, you kind of have to have Xavier Woods win the whole thing. You kind of have to.
I mean, not if they keep Finn as like a tweener who just doesn't give a shit. People love Finn. I mean, here's the thing. It sort of goes with what Vince cares more about. It's like Finn, maybe they want, I don't know, dude.
I know what Vince doesn't care about, and that's what giving the people what they want.
Yeah, I know.
For the most part. And I think a lot of people really want Xavier Woods to win it because we know how much it means to him, and if it means something to him, he'll make it a thing that feels important, Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's, if you're going to do King of the Ring, make it feel important. Make it mean something. Mm-hmm. And I know if Xavier Woods wins it, he's going to make it mean something.
I know. He'll be wearing that on up, down, everything.
Yeah. It'll mean something. And that's just what I want out of it. Anyways, after that, we had a Becky Lynch promo. She says, I don't have too much more to say, then goes on to say a lot. It just kind of she just talks crap about everybody. She does say that Charlotte, tonight teaming with Charlotte might be as repulsive to her as the lingering smell of piss in a downtown alley. That was good.
That was a shot at San Francisco, wasn't it?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I didn't think about that.
Look, there's probably a lot great about San Francisco. It's an hour and a half away.
Yeah, I like San Francisco.
I don't. All right. I can't stand driving down there. The driving is like the actual driving in the city is a nightmare.
Well, if you stay out of downtown, it's not that bad.
Yeah. There's a lot to do in San Francisco, but I can't stand.
Which is why I like
there.
it. I like going and visiting and doing things and then
going. And it smells horrible downtown.
And then she talks trash about Bianca and then Sasha, and she just says, "I'll walk into Crown Royal. I'll walk out of Crown Royal the same way I walk in as SmackDown was champion."
Yeah.
And then we have that match, such as what it was.
Oh, this was just mind-boggling.
Like, here's the
Everybody
thing.
just
if you're going to have the brawl break out at the beginning, give us something like we had with Becky and Charlotte and Ronda before WrestleMania, where they were in the back and they were like people were getting handcuffs and cars running into each other and Charlotte hitting that great running knee on Ronda, because that's memorable. That's a good build.
Yeah.
Instead, they have a brawl breakout before the match even starts because nobody can get along. They can't coexist, which we all saw that coming. They try to break it up. The refs do a horrible job of it. Finally, producers come out. They kind of break it up. Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, rather than say, hey, let's make this a four-way match or whatever, they say, hey, essentially, the four of you are better than this. Get your acts together, and we're restarting the match.
And then it still ended in a no contest.
But of course, that was going to happen.
I know. Like, why wouldn't they have known? Any person with some semblance of intelligence would know that this was not going to work. This is not a match that can happen.
Yeah. And so while there's some fun stuff that happens, in the brawl beforehand during the match, like some of the interpersonal interactions were kind of funny.
Yeah, sure, they're all great characters.
But at the end of the day, it was filler. It was time filler. That's what it felt like. Like they're four wonderfully talented performers. Give them something really good to work with.
Yeah.
It just kind of felt like, okay, well, here's 20 minutes we could fill with this segment. That's what it felt like. Like, I want to see everybody do substantial stuff, and I know not everybody can do super substantial stuff because there's parts in the show that this based on WWE books, there's some stuff they want to have comedy angles, blah, blah, blah. But you got 4 of your top stars here. You're building to a pretty awesome match at Crown Royal. Give us something substantial here. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't. Yeah. It wasn't that. It just wasn't that.
Yeah, no, it wasn't at all. Yeah, there was no hook to it. No. It was just chaos, and it was just pointless. And that's the thing. You can have chaos, but there has to be a point.
Exactly.
To it.
There was no point here. Well, point.
We know they can't get along.
Yeah.
We don't have to. So unless this progressed something,
you know what they should have done? They should have had all 4 of them team together against another team of 4 that could get along.
Oh yeah,
that's what they should have done.
Yeah.
Like have the 4 of them go against Rhea, Nikki. I know Dana already had a match.
Doudrop.
Yeah, well, she had a match later on.
Yeah.
A couple other women.
Mia Yim.
There you go.
Isn't Tegan now on Raw?
I think so. Well, I mean, that doesn't take effect till after Crown Royal, but that's kind of...
Doesn't seem to matter.
Doesn't matter.
Bianca has the Raw lower third.
I know.
I mean, they would do sometimes somebody who's over from a different brand, they'd give them that brand's lower third, so they're already giving
Usos
Bianca
were drafted to SmackDown, yet for some reason they were on Raw.
She literally said, I go here now.
Yeah.
So, like, Kevin Owens on the show last week. They play that so fast.
I know.
Anyways.
I know. Anyways.
So, after all that stuff, the Usos are backstage. Jimmy's on the phone with Roman. He says, we got it under control. And Jay's like, what did he say? He's like, he said for us to get the mission done, man. What do you think he said? He probably said, acknowledge me. Then he started yelling at Paul in the background. And I hung up. They got it under control. They're good. After that, we had Doudrop versus Natalya, Queen's Crown match. Doudrop gets the win after Natalya goes for a sharpshooter. Doudrop slaps her to counter and then rolls her up.
Yeah. Next, we got John Morrison. He's backstage meditating. Rhea asks him, what are you doing? And Morrison says, I'm tapping into my chi to share my innermost thoughts with the world. And then Nikki says, yeah, that sounds great. Everyone should follow their dreams. So her and Rhea step away. Rhea asks Nikki, hey, do you know what he's talking about? And she just says no.
Corny bullshit comedy that's not funny. It's awkward. Nobody knows what really to do. Morrison's good, but like this is just, it's a waste of everybody's time. Backstage, Mansoor has an interview, but Ali comes up and yells at him for being a waste of time, a loser. He says he wasted his time on him trying to help him survive this place. He says, I am your only lifeline here, the only one watching your back. And without me, you're going to get eaten alive. He leaves. Mansoor literally looks like he wants to cry. He does great here. Mm-hmm. Both of them do great. And then Ali comes back and attacks him, fish hooks him, and that sets up their match. They're going to have a match at Crown Royal.
Yeah, that Mansoor will win all confidence points. Then we had our main event, Drew McIntyre and Big E taking on the Usos. Big E was isolated by the Usos a good stretch of this match.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Eventually, he gets the tag into Drew. He goes on a run. He's looking for a Claymore on Jay, so he's backed up in his corner, and that's when Big E tags himself in. And, it's pretty much, hey, you did it to me last week, I'm doing it to you now. Seemingly kind of contradicting what Big E was trying to say earlier in the show. So they start arguing, and then he eats a pair of super kicks from the Usos, kicks at it too. Jay goes up top, he misses a splash. Big E looking for a big ending. Jay escapes that and then pushes Big E into Drew. Drew is knocked off the apron. So then Jay runs into an Uranagi. Big E covers, and then Drew pulls Big E out of the ring off the cover. And so they start brawling on the floor. Ref counts out Big E. Usos win. And I'm just like...
Why? Yeah.
It's just I understand they're trying to get heat for this match. It's such a nonsensical way of doing it. Like, imagine if they had put their issues aside to get through the match. As soon as the bell rings, they win. They're just beating the heck out of each other,
Yeah.
Then they're both going into that match at Crown Royal. I know they have a go-home show. Looking strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nobody looks strong here.
Mm-mm.
And it's frustrating. So anyways, Usos hit some splashes on him to the floor. They throw Big E over the announce table. And then Jay walks into belly to belly from Big E. And then Big E pushes Jimmy to Drew. Drew hits him with an overhead belly to belly. And then Big E and Drew get in the ring. They start brawling. Drew escapes a big ending and hits Big E with the Claymore.
And that is your Monday Night Raw.
That was Raw. Blech.
Sunk into a creative abyss once again.
It was not a good show. Even breaking it up over 2 days and fast forwarding through commercials, it was a bad show. A bad show.
David Matushek asks, do you think that WWE could build a storyline based on Xavier Woods' crown obsession? Yeah, if somebody else wins that isn't his, have him go get obsessed with it and do the whole thing like they used to do, where like you challenge somebody for the crown after they've already won it.
I just have, if that's an idea, a plan they may have, that they'll do it for 2 weeks, and I just feel like they'll drop it. Or it's just something that he'll put into stuff himself. Sort of like when Kofi lost to Brock, I feel like he was just putting in references in promos and backstage bits about the loss, just kind of in passing.
And I'm okay with that. I'm fine when they do that, because wrestling is a collaborative, endeavor, and I'm fine with that. But like it should be up to creative to then take that stuff and go with it. Let Kofi spend a month stewing over his loss to Brock.
Yeah, totally.
And have him resolve that. That's interesting stuff. But they don't. Jay Singh, if you could take any wrestler from any promotion from any point in time and give them the king gimmick for a year, who would it be and why? They should have had Austin come off King. See, that's what they would do now. That's what they'd have done now. They got this hot commodity, Steve Austin, right?
That's what they did with Bad News Barrett.
That's right.
Gimmick was getting over, and they had him win King of the Ring, and he was King Barrett, and they dropped the whole Bad News thing.
316 says, really? King Barrett was after Bad News? Okay. Yeah, you're right, huh? 316 says, I just whipped your ass. I'm the king now. And then he just walks around. I'm King Austin. Bow down before me, you dumb son of a bitches.
But then he'd have to start speaking with the English accent.
My name's Steve Austin. Bow down before me. You miserable. Oh, wait, he can't say the C word. You can't say that. Austin, you can't say that in WWE programming.
No.
You can get away with that in the UK, not here. You bellends.
Hip Hop Hippo says they had 4 of the best women's wrestlers in the world.
Let's see here.
Uh-oh, I froze.
Don Wagner, a.k.a. Patrick Sparks, a.k.a. the B-Man.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Patrick Sparks. Sid is going to manage a softball team. Pick 3 wrestlers from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and make his roster.
I know he's not signed anywhere, but Adam Scherr has to be on that
Titan.
team. Yeah,
Titan.
Braun
Yeah,
Strowman.
absolutely. Yeah.
A softball team, right? Veer played baseball. He has $1 million arm.
Yeah.
Movie
Oh
about
my
him.
gosh. Yeah. Dude, I really hope now that he's broke, after Crown Royal, when he's broken away, give him some vignettes. Let him talk.
Heck yeah.
Let him develop a personality.
Like athletically, he's off the charts, man.
I want to hear his story,
Yeah.
Bring in John Hamm to be his manager.
All right. There you go.
Dick Whitman.
Hip Hop Hippo, they had 4 of the best women's wrestlers in the world in one match on live TV, and that nonsense is what they booked. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't get it either. It doesn't add anything to the story. It doesn't add anything.
Blake. I'm not doing that one.
Nikyle,
Eddie,
I'll do this one. Nikyle, speaking of which, where was Apollo Crews, Aziz, and U.S. champ Damian Priest last night? Don't know.
Damian Priest.
Don't know.
Moses opposes when WWE does hire a newer talent, let's say from AEW, is there any chance of them going to NXT 2.0 or all hirings main roster bound? So for right now, and I do think this is a petty Vince thing, I was thinking about this. I feel like the freeze on hiring indie talent, how long do you think that's going to last?
I think they'll make an exception if I'll just throw this name out there, Kenny Omega is a free agent. They would sign him up in a second if they could and bring him straight to main roster.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Let's say Brody King decides he's like, hey, man, I think I'm ready for the next step. I don't want AEW. I want WWE. You think WWE grabs him?
I don't know.
If this is a new philosophy, we just want to make new stars on our own. How long do you think? I kind of feel like that is a temporary Vince is pissed about AEW thing, and that probably won't last that long. That's my general feeling on it, because that's sort of Vince's thing.
If AEW gets in a rhythm where they sign people from the independents and then make them stars, then maybe Vince will turn around. Or if he sees that the talent they're developing in NXT isn't to his liking, then he'll change his mind.
Yeah.
It's like many other things, or basically all things at WWE. It's up to Vince's whims.
I think it's like probably like a 2-week hard window where it's like, yeah, now we're not doing that shit. And then it's like, at this point now, we're probably fine.
Maybe. Maybe, who knows?
If the right person comes along.
Rooster Loving Man says, wasn't the main storyline on WB for years the McMahon family fighting? Vince is a hypocrite. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, that could be said about a lot of things with Vince. Wolfpack for life. Which would you rather want? Finn winning King of the Ring and get a solid heel run, or Xavier wins and gets a solid mid-card championship run? I'm going to go with Xavier Woods.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Xavier Woods.
Yeah, Xavier should.
I'd rather see that.
Yeah. Same. Let's see what else we got here.
Oh, here's a good one. Sleazymo, name an instance where can they coexist was actually interesting and entertaining.
It was when RK Bro was first getting together.
Yeah.
White Brownie, because it wasn't used just to enhance a feud between two singles wrestlers. They were actually telling a larger story. White Brownie, should the triple threat match at Crown Royal be a fatal 4-way championship scramble for both Raw and SmackDown women's titles as a way to switch titles between Becky and Charlotte? I'd be all about that. You put Charlotte in the triple threat match at Crown Royal, put both belts on the line, like one pinfall for one belt, one pinfall for the other belt. That way, there's no trading of titles.
I will say this: it does seem, with the way they are talking about, I'm going to get that title too. Roman's going to get your title if you come, Drew, with that title. I feel like the idea of them just swapping them like the New Day and Street Profits did, I feel like that's less of a possibility because of the way they've been talking about it. And I get the feeling that the belts are going to be traded, but it's going to be through competition, not simply swapping them. I don't think that's going to happen, just the way they've been talking about them.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I do think that it would behoove them to start referring to, let's say, the SmackDown Women's Championship as the Women's Universal Championship.
Yeah, I know. Don't tie the belts down to a brand. I know.
Yeah.
Prime Joy of Bearding. Sometimes I think Raw tries to beat the record for how fast can we get our viewers to change the channel. From the moment I saw this opening segment, I knew it was going to be bad.
I mean, sometimes you can just tell. Sometimes you really can tell from the beginning segment, okay, what's this Raw going to be? Xavier Gray, do you think that WWE will start building new tag teams come October 25th on Raw in the next 2 weeks? They're going to have to. Well, they've got a bunch of thrown together stuff. They've got RK Bro. They've got AJ and Omos. They've got Street Profits there now. They've got Alpha Academy.
Yes.
And where is Jinder and Shanky going to stay on Raw? And is Veer heading to SmackDown, or is it the opposite?
I don't remember who's going who, but that's the...
Could use them as a tag team.
I know. Veer got drafted.
Do we know where Lucha House Party is? I forget.
I don't think did they even get drafted?
They probably. I think maybe they went to SmackDown.
This is a good question from Zekumaki. If you could give a championship reign a documentary like The Last Dance, who would you select? Probably Bruno.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let me look at the question again. A Last Dance-esque documentary for a championship reign. Okay, here we go. I would do, given that The Last Dance covered a span of years. I mean, I know it was. I would go with Shawn Michaels. He had a similar type deal where he was hot, left for a spell, came back. I know he left for a longer spell than Jordan left, but I think there are some parallels there. Not a championship reign, but more of a career. I'd like to see that. I think Shawn Michaels would be great.
Diehard Homer, if they ever do all 4 horsewomen in a fatal 4-way, could the fan anticipation save the shit farm WWE would turn it into? I mean, I think the talent involved could save it, could elevate it above whatever creative WWE came up with for it, you know?
As long as they were given, look, a fatal 4-way with the horsewomen would be terrific, because they wouldn't only give it 3 minutes. If it was a pay-per-view match and they gave it 20 minutes or 30 minutes, then those 4 wrestlers, they're not going to put on a bad match. It's not about the matches. It's about giving the matches enough time to tell a story. And if the competitors, if the superstars, or the wrestlers, whatever, are given the appropriate amount of time to tell a story, then they'll tell a really good story, because they're that good.
Yep. Tronin says Bobby Lashley still hasn't gotten a tag team title shot since winning the tag gauntlet that literally was the storyline from entire Raw like a month ago.
Oh my! I forgot about that. They didn't get one at like the end of the. They didn't get that. Well, him and an MVP was declared out because he was injured. You want to do a quick NXT 2.0 preview?
If we have to.
See if this is going to be a yay or nay, man. Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Santos Escobar.
Should be a good match.
Should be a really good match. Tommaso Ciampa and Joe Gacy meet in a high-stakes showdown.
Oh, yeah.
Also, they're going to. Braun Breaker's going to break that one up. He's going to be the match break if they're going to actually fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle O'Reilly joins forces with Von Wagner,
Of course.
against Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland. That's all we got so far.
All right. They're probably still writing the show.
The North American match will be good. The North American title match will
be good.
Yeah.
Be Swerve's goodbye to NXT, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Anyways, we'll answer some more of these questions if you guys have them. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Remember, we got Friendo Club TV coming up at 4 p.m. Pacific.
A couple hours, yeah.
A couple hours for the Twitch chat if you're watching this on demand. If you're a YouTube channel member, you can check out the video on demand, the VOD of that. If you're in the audio realm, it should be available soon. And, of course, if you're watching live on Twitch, hang out with us.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
You can check out the VOD as well if you didn't see it.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.